Kristan Hawkins. Welcome to this new episode of the Explicitly Pro-Life podcast. Today is a very special episode because we have a guest on that you've seen before, you've heard from, Michele Hendrickson. She's the Director of Strategic Initiatives at Students for Life America. She's been on our team for a number of years. Michele is just an incredible resource and blessing to our team. She actually came to Students for Life after serving in the public school system for about 10 years in the state of Maryland, starting volunteering with Students for Life and then coming on board, leaving her career as a teacher. She is also has a regional district license for pastoring within her church, the Lutheran Church, and is working towards ordination. So she's also a pastor in her spare time, plus a mom and a wife and all of those things. So Michele, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
So I wanted you to come on and talk about, I have the privilege with Explicitly Pro-Life of interviewing a lot of guests, a lot of leaders within the pro-life movement, hearing about what their organizations are doing, innovation that's happening, challenges we have in the pro-life movement. But I have come to realize I guess I talk about Students for Life in passing with guests, but we never really have a show dedicated to what the hell is Students for Life of America up to beyond serving Students for Life groups, identifying leaders, training leaders, setting them on fire in their communities to change minds, serve women, and quite frankly, kick the abortion industry's ass. So my question to you is, can you explain to our viewers, our listeners today about this innovative new program that we launched just last year? It's been a year. I want to kind of do a first year wrap up of the campaign for abortion-free cities. This was kind of my crazy brainchild of, really trying to move Students for Life into a post-Roe America before Roe versus Wade was reversed. Now with the pending Dobbs decision coming down in June, that post-Roe America may be far closer than many of us even dared to dream just a few years ago. But it makes what we're doing with the campaign for abortion-free cities so much more valuable. And so I love it's my idea. So I love the idea of it because it's really for me that next step of moving beyond campuses, taking what we've learned in campuses of how to change minds, how to serve women, and getting it broader out into the community, because we know this battle is coming down to every state and every community to make abortion unavailable and unthinkable. So I guess explain what you've been working on for the past year and this great adventure that you signed up for, willingly said, yes, I will take the leadership mantle on.
Right in. Yes, it's been exciting. Really, it's in the title. We're trying to achieve abortion-free cities, and we mean it. And this last year, we've done a lot of experimenting, a lot of trial and error to see what works, what sticks, what doesn't. And we're really getting to know these cities. I think that's been one of the biggest takeaways, is that each city has its own unique conversation that it needs to have, its own unique strategy. One thing that we've done over the last year in all cities is canvassing. And when we think of canvassing or door knocking, we think political campaigns. So what's been exciting about this is that it's all C3 friendly, effective education, and we're just getting the word out about our local pregnancy help center. And one of the biggest takeaways really from our cities is across the board. We've been in 20 cities over the last year canvassing, and across the board, about 73% of people do not know about their local pregnancy help center. Like, that was a really big wake-up call for us, for the local leaders. We're literally knocking on someone's door. Hey, how are you? We're with Standing With You. So we partner with our Standing With You initiative to introduce ourselves at the door. And then we're asking if they've heard of the local pregnancy help center. And like I said, 73% of the time, they have not. That's almost 3/4 of our town has no idea the resource center exists.
That's been existing for decades.
Right. I've been in situations door knocking where the pregnancy help center was in view. Like, I could point to it. That building right there. Do you know what that is? No, what's that? We need to be reaching out to our neighbors and coming to them. So that was a huge piece of what we learned. And we are now just creating better strategies to make sure people are aware of getting on Standing With You's website and how to plug in, where their pregnancy help center is located, how they can get connected with that.
Mm,
Our in-person efforts over the last year, we knocked on over 105,000 doors. It
mm,
was incredible. And out of that, we had over 8,300 conversations, and we've activated 1,500 community members to take an action. So they're saying, yes, sign me up. I want to promote Standing With You. I want to connect with my local pregnancy help center. And we're even changing minds at the door. I didn't know if we should talk about that wonderful Vice News special that they did with us. But it's been
mhm,
incredible. We've changed over 480 minds at the door. So these are perfect strangers who
mm.
were knocking on their door, telling them about pregnancy resources and venturing into the conversation of abortion and asking, what their opinion is. What do they think? And when they learn how extreme abortion is in their communities, how late abortions are done,
Mm,
they're starting to rethink their position, and people will
mm.
change their minds right at the door. It's been really incredible.
That's that's totally. I love it. And it was funny you brought up the Vice News article. That what happened. They wanted to follow us in
Mhm.
Dallas. Dallas is one of our 20 abortion-free cities, and that was after the Texas heartbeat law went into effect. And I remember Sarah, our regional manager there, and her team of door knockers changed the mind of somebody at the door,
On
and
camera.
the reporter didn't believe it, and actually went
Mhm.
back later in the day to confirm that it wasn't a setup. Like I love that, and it's so interesting about that is that isn't the initial intention at the door. The initial intention is to create awareness of the nonviolent alternatives that exist. So to back up, let's talk about the different ways we're doing the abortion-free cities. And so we've kind of have like I think of it as like the four C's, like communities, campuses, churches, and computers. Like those are the kind of areas that we're playing in. And then those that we're targeting, our three audiences are, women who are at risk for abortion, who are being targeted by the abortion industry, young people whose minds need to be, quite frankly, changed on this issue, or they need to be educated on this issue. And then the third audience is those who are sitting in the pews who should be with us, who aren't with us. So those are our
Mhm.
three audiences, and we're reaching those three audiences through our campus work, our community work, our church work, and our computer work. So do you want to kind of go into so when we volunteered the 20 cities and
Mhm.
said, congratulations,
Yep.
Students for Life has selected you as a campaign for abortion-free city, and our regional corner began reaching out to pregnancy center directors and other leaders in the cities. What does that entail? So tell me like what the program entails, and then I want you to tell me what we've learned, like what's gone really, really well and what hasn't gone so well. Because this is we're honest in the podcast. So let's
Mhm.
talk about that.
Yeah. So I think the first step in any community who wants to start an abortion-free city campaign, which we're having cities start all across the country, and in these 20 cities where we just set up shop, like you said, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
The biggest lesson we learned is the importance of building the coalition, which is what we set out to do when we
Mhm.
first started. We wanted church partners. We wanted those local leaders who are already doing the good work to come together and work more unified, and then get to
Mhm.
know our city and figure out what is the
So
best
you're
conversation
building
to have.
coalitions
Yep.
with pregnancy centers
Mhm.
and churches, and if there's like a local right to life group.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Sidewalk counselors, you name it. If you're a pro life leader in the community, we want you. Everybody has that unique role. And I've noticed that cities where we're having more success, and maybe we'll get into this, that we've actually scored our cities winnable, movable, workable. And some of the more winnable cities, they've had this coalition for a while, and it's just increased all the more as you add the strategy of the Abortion Free Cities campaign, and we're noticing just huge change within the community. So that's been very exciting. I think where it's gone wrong or a little clunky is when there is that lack of unity or lack of trust, because it's really hard to trust, someone who seems new coming into your city saying, hey, I have a new idea for you, something crazy called abortion free cities. And we get a lot of, oh, that's too big, that's overwhelming, or I've been doing this since the 70s and we're not going to see this city abortion free. So that's been sort of the pushback, or the the tough responses to sort of encourage everybody. No, we can do this, and we've got a strategy for it, and we've got resources for it, and we're here basically to paint the town. Like, we're going to cover this community, we're going to take ownership over our cities, and we're going to move forward because, like you said, this battle is local now. It's more important now than ever to be city focused, to be locally focused.
Okay, so for community, the first step is to go and build the coalition.
Build a coalition. We need a
What
team.
else? So in that community, that first C, what else are we doing? So we're building the coalition, and then what are we doing in front of the abortion facility? What are we do? I feel like we have a campaign there as well.
Yeah, I feel we could go through there is a deeper strategy for how we move these cities from like when we first show up and kind of score them and get this data and how we move them along the path to becoming abortion free. The first coalition partner obviously is that Pregnancy Help Center. Like I said before, we want to make people aware that the Pregnancy Help Center exists and support them. Then the next step through industry impact out on the sidewalks, we want to break the trust of the abortion industry. So we've partnered with Sidewalk Advocates for Life and Reprotection because we want to do two things. We want to obviously drive clients away from the abortion industry. We want to make sure that their business goes down and they're not receiving money from women or money for abortions. And we want to be able to close them down altogether, which is where reprotections work comes in. And it's through even sidewalk counseling that we're starting to notice some of these trends or some of these, violations that abortion facilities are guilty of. One in Omaha, we've got Carhartt's facility, but it's actually in Bethesda, Maryland, where he operates and has been hurting women. And he's in the middle of a lawsuit now, and it's because sidewalk counselors noticed, hey, his facility in Maryland closed down for a minute. Like, why? And then we started researching into that. Oh, he's in the middle of a lawsuit. He has dangerously hurt women, gravely hurt women. It's really heartbreaking when you read through the lawsuit that he's guilty of. So, well, guess what? He still operates out in Omaha. So we're going to make sure the city knows that he's there and to kick this out. We don't want this person operating in our community. So impacting the industry, being out on the sidewalks, that's a crucial piece to the campaign.
Okay. And so in addition on that community work, we're talking about how do we reach her, at the doors and that's what you were talking about earlier of knocking on 105,000 doors of getting volunteers to say, hey, I'm not here for a candidate. I'm here to talk about the other favorite thing you want to talk about, abortion and nonviolent resources. And I've done that myself and I've gone to communities and gotten chased off some lawns. It's really interesting work because you're right. The majority of people do not know the nonviolent alternatives exist, which when we talk about preparing for a post-Roe America, that is like my number one lecture point to the pro-life movement is we have to get her and the rest of the country to understand that no woman stands alone with the pro-life movement, that we are literally standing beside her. And we've been doing this for decades and that there is a whole network of resources and support ready to surround her. She just doesn't know it yet. And we've got to be like the best marketers for that. So door knocking is really that way to like have that, one-on-one conversation. Then you can always we always follow up with postcards and text messages and geo-fenced digital ads to those people we've knocked on the doors to kind of further hit home that message. But it's absolutely critical. What are we doing? What specifically are you focusing on in the churches?
So we do offer church partnership materials, and we really love to start with the church. When I talk about building the coalition, yes, we want pro-life leaders, but we also need our churches. And our churches, more often than not, are just very timid when it comes to the issue of abortion. And understandably so, because we know women within our own churches are experiencing abortion or have had an abortion, and a lot of pastors just don't know how to talk about it. So one thing within our church partnership are sample materials. We have a sample sermon series. We've got sample different materials like flyers to be able to reach out to women in need. We've got pew cards that are standing with you, pew cards, so they can always be set up within your church and just be there and ready to connect a woman with help, and just get that conversation started and empower churches that they should be talking about this. Have we ever thought to ask or to say, have we ever thought to say in church, it's okay to be pregnant here? Like, we should say that regularly from the pulpit, from the announcements. It's okay to be pregnant here. We have created some unspoken rule that having that secret abortion is better than the unplanned, unwed pregnancy. So we have to break that. And so we're just leading.
And that's a big problem, because
do
like
that.
research that we did a few years ago with George Barna and his team, I think the research we found was that like 6% of Protestant church pastors said that they had a pro-life ministry in them.
Wow. That doesn't surprise me though. I'm a Protestant.
It was about the same who said they had a sermon on the issue of abortion too. I mean, it was terrible information. But I guess I would say, what have we learned in this year? I mean, I think for me, it's been interesting to see, and I'm obviously looking at the numbers of how many doors are we knocking in each of the communities, how many minds are we changing with our online, we'll get to the computers, the digital ads, how many women are referring to the pregnancy centers. But then I've also been looking closely at like how many churches are joining the coalition, who are like raising their hand and saying yes. And that to me has been shockingly low. Like it's not
very city
easy.
Specific. Right? Like, so that kind of goes back to, we learned all these cities are different, and it's a lot of who you know and what churches are already doing. So some cities are just really blown up. We've got Phoenix with almost 14 church partnerships. Indiana, I know, has over 10. Like, there are just certain cities that are really drawn to this, and they want to do good work, and then they're activated to do that, and they're really taking off with the church partnership. And then in other cities, we don't have any church partnerships yet. We're not in the door. They need to open the door. So our team is just continuing on. We're going to continue just being there alongside the church and offering these great resources and trying to build that coalition, because you never know who's connected to whom. Like, even at the doors, when you're door knocking and you're trying to connect women to resources or these families to resources. I knocked on the door of someone who was a nurse, like a nurse who did home visits. She took a stack of Standing With You materials. That's an awesome connection. Other people who are saying, oh, I attend such and such church. Excellent. So glad to meet you. I would love to get involved with your church. So canvassing is scary, but it does lead to those connections, especially in building in our church partnerships too, because inevitably we're going to meet somebody that goes to that church and is really excited about this work.
And then, okay, so the third C is campus, which I think that's pretty intuitive of what we're doing, of continuing our work at Students for Life, of building up strong Students for Life groups, getting those groups to host regular events, programmatic material that challenges people's minds about abortion, that highlights the pregnancy center movement, the nonviolent resources that are there in the community. So let's talk about the fourth C, computers. So online, like, talk about what are we doing. We've got two kind of unique tracks that we're doing online to reach out to folks. Can you talk a little about what we're doing online to get folks involved in these 20 cities?
It's sort of like the secret sauce that no one knows about or can explain, like, what's going on.
That's the most expensive, by the way.
It is. But totally worth it, because here we go. Here are some excellent numbers.
As a person who has to fundraise for this is the most expensive
But
part.
get people excited about it, so they'll want to give, and they want to see this in their town too. So we've got the same sort of in-person element. We've got that online. So we're geo-targeting these same areas where we're canvassing to get people online to have basically a digital conversation with us. So they will see these ads, click the ad. We're scoring them one way to know their thoughts on abortion, and then they're going through like a mind-changing quiz or watching a mind-changing video, and then afterwards scoring them again and seeing, like, did this change your mind, or do you feel differently now? And out of running those ads, and really just, it was in 5 cities this last year. We didn't do it with all 20 cities.
Because Kristan failed to raise enough money for all 20 cities.
We'll get it. We're going to get it.
Let's be true about my failure.
No, no, it's fine. We're going to expand and all the people believe in it after they hear this. 230,000 conversations with over 47,800 minds changed. So, like, in just 5 cities, 47,800 minds changed. Like, people started the quiz thinking one way about abortion and ended the quiz thinking another way.
That's like nearly a 25% mind change, right? Overall.
That's huge. And imagine just all of those same people in their homes, like we've just canvassed at their house and they've heard from us, and now they're starting to rethink their position on abortion just because they saw this ad on their phone. That's really cool to think about. So that's our mind changing online element. And then we're also making sure that women are connected to resources through digital Google ads as well. And that is all data that we're tracking. So through our pregnancy help awareness ads, we have over 1,600 women served and connected to services. And we have 30 baby saves total for this campaign, which 29 came through. Yeah, confirmed. Yes, we've had a lot of, but we only count if we know that we know that we know. So we had 29 baby saves through these digital ads, 1 save through sidewalk counseling in Allentown. But these are women who are calling the hotline, saying that they're abortion minded or abortion vulnerable, being connected to services, and then reporting back that they chose life. It's working. Like, that alone makes it worth the spend, right? I should have led with there are 29 lives saved through these online elements.
Yeah, I mean, that makes all the money worth it, and all the time calling folks and trying to get support completely worth it. And we know that there's probably scores more, but we'll never know because it's so hard to follow up with everyone. I think that's so, I don't know, it's overwhelming. And the thing about the connecting women to resources, that's also another partnership. We've actually been partnering with our friends at Human Coalition. So we're actually, Students for Life is paying Human Coalition to answer the phone calls. I think that they have one of the best call centers in the country. So they're actually answering the phone calls. And when the calls come in with a woman from one of these cities that needs help, they 3-way call her with her on the line to the pregnancy center, wherever the pregnancy center is near her that offers the services near her. And then they help her set up the appointment and do the follow-up. In other cities, we just started a partnership with Option Line, Heartbeat International, our other good friends, and they're also going to be doing the same thing. And they're actually manning the online chat at standingwithyou.org for folks who come in. We have a lot of women who come in and don't, they're like me, don't want to talk to anybody on the phone. Dear Lord, I spend all my time on the phone. Why would I want to call anybody else on the phone? So they just do an online chat. And Heartbeat International is running that online chat for us. So I know if you ask everybody at Students for Life what they love about the Abortion-Free Cities campaign, they'll probably say something different. Tina Whittington, our executive vice president, I know 100%, she loves the unitive aspect of this, that we're able to have sidewalk advocates for life, who we've interviewed, Lauren Musica on this podcast before, come and train the sidewalk advocates in all these cities. Or we've gotten Missy Stone at Reprotection, also another podcast. I think I've had Missy on a couple times now, talking about the research that they're doing, partnering with the local activists to try to shut down the abortion facility using open records requests, that we're working with Human Coalition and Heartbeat International, that we're working with the local churches when they allow us, or the pregnancy centers, that we're working with the local students. Like, I know that's, if you ask Tina, our vice president, that's going to be her thing, because it's this completely unifying effort that everyone wins from, that everyone sees an increase for. I've been really heartened to see, and I love seeing, taking the use of technology and the research we've done with our own Dimitri Institute for Pro-Life Advancement on how to change the minds of the mushy, movable women. I don't like abortion, but, and the TV ads that we created, using that information, setting it online, and then running and watching the minds change straight. And I'm very competitive. So like, I know, like, all right, we have a problem in, for example, Rochester people. We can change minds about abortion, but we can't change anyone's minds about Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has their claws deep into the city of Rochester. We know this because I see the stats of how, what's the mind change rate? How much does it cost per person I reach to change one mind online? What's your favorite aspect of the campaign?
I agree with you. It's the mind changing. And when you meet somebody who you just have no idea where that impact is going to go, it's like a light bulb goes off for someone when you've changed their mind about abortion. And it's scary at first to talk to the strangers, right? And knock on their doors. But you get over it as soon as you have that first successful conversation. And just to think like that person's day and or life may have been altered because you had one simple conversation. That gives me goosebumps. And that is what I think just Students for Life is so great at. We're just going to get out there and do the really difficult thing that will could radically change someone's life for the better. It's very exciting.
Yeah, definitely doesn't get you on the nightly news, except when Vice wants to follow you around and then doesn't believe it.
But
But
it's
it
the
is
hard
because
work.
yeah, I mean, you think about, we always talk about our model at Students for Life as belong, believe, behave. And it's people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we think about a post-Roe society, and you're going to instantly see in June when the Supreme Court decision comes down, regardless whether or not it's a good ruling and they uphold Mississippi or it's a great ruling and they completely reverse Roe, you're going to see poll numbers shift and people are going to start panicking about the end of abortion. And you're going to have people who are pro-life saying that they're pro-choice. And you're going to have a lot of people doing that because they're going to be like, well, I don't know where women are going to go. And when we talk about, building this coalition, building the army, the pro-life generation that becomes the post-Roe generation, we have to show America what we do and how much we care. And I think that's what I love about the door knocking. Even the day I got kicked off that guy's lawn in Denver, just to see you're right, the light bulb go off, because they may not say, yes, I'm going to join you right away. And by the way, we have action items. So we try to get folks to join us right away. So we have window decals and yard signs that say standing with you, free confidential help. We're trying to get our cities littered with these yard signs. They may not do that, but I know never again will that person be able to use the old adage of the pro-life movement only cares about babies until they're born, doesn't give a damn about their moms. Because now someone has personally visited their home, had a whole conversation with them about how much we really care. And that's like, I mean, I wish I could track that, because that is movement shifting there. Like that is a strategic shift in tens of thousands of people's minds. Of the 105,000 doors that you knocked, and then even you didn't talk to somebody, leaving the little door hanger with the little chart of here's the pregnancy center, here's all the services they provide, and here's the 2 things Planned Parenthood provides, and the neighborhood alert of what's going on inside the nasty thing that the Planned Parenthood just got in trouble for. Like that is going to leave a significant mark on people, right?
Exactly. I mean, this is showing how much the pro lifer has always cared. This is not a new
Mm,
thing, but this is proof at the door in person,
yep,
reimagining the pro life movement and the pro life individual. And where's Planned Parenthood? Where are they connecting with the community? They're sitting back in their facilities and just getting income and getting money, right? So this
that's
is
right.
reimagining that pro-life people are the ones wanting to connect women to the services that they deserve.
That's awesome. So what else, I guess since it's a 1 year, what else have we learned? So I know we've learned building coalitions is a lot harder. I know we've learned in cities where, like you said earlier, that they've had longer running pro-life movements that have been strong. We see it actually online in the digital ads. Those cities, even if they lean Democrat or liberal, they change minds at a much faster and cheaper rate than cities where the pro-life movement hasn't been as active or together and unified. We've also learned that getting churches involved is incredibly difficult. So we're hiring now part-time staff in all of these, cities, trying to get folks to come on board to join us, to help us get to the pastors and get to the parishes, to get them signed up with this program. At least just arming the people sitting in the pews about the resources. So we've learned that. We learned door knocking is really hard, and you have to bribe with good food,
Yes.
Chick-fil-A,
Lots of food
because
gift cards too as rewards if you meet
yes,
certain numbers. So
yes, you get rewarded with
yep.
Chick-fil-A not only that day, but then food gift cards for after the fact. We've learned our yard signs. We had to change our yard signs. They needed to be easier to read from far away. So we've had to make changes on that. We've certainly learned a lot in our digital ads of, in certain cities, it's easier to change minds on Planned Parenthood than it is abortion vice versa. Um, what else have we learned? Because I don't know. I just feel like we could do a whole white paper to the pro life movement of all the mistakes we made this year and
Do
things that we've had
this,
to go back
don't
and
do that.
yes,
Do
yes,
this, don't do that. And definitely the value of the unique conversation at the door and to just understand who you're talking to. Like you said, our first goal is to connect women with resources to make sure they're aware of their pregnancy help center. But then go ahead and be bold with it. See how far they're willing to go in conversation. One thing we learned is that some people will tell you their life story at the door, and that's okay. It's just taking our team a really long time then, and you've got lots of history there. You're going to open up this conversation with
a
people that
lot of
may have
post-abortive
to share.
stories.
Yes, they have a lot to
That's
share.
yeah.
And it may be the first time they've shared with anybody, and it's to our team at the door. And it's really a beautiful thing that we're able to connect post-abortive women to the resources they need. So that was something that we really didn't see coming. And it's in a lot more, especially inner city areas. So safety has been a big thing that we've realized. Okay, well, we need to make sure we're paying attention to, which neighborhoods we're in, sticking together, and just being really good at communication with each other. I know campaign door knocking, you're usually separate. And you're just going like boom, 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 boom. But we've really reined it in that we're very much together as a team on the ground, moving along. It's a little bit slower pace, but it's worth it. Making sure our team is safe, making sure we're having quality conversations at the door was a huge lesson.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've been really talking to a lot of friends about. I spoke with Lisa over Support After Abortion. They were sponsors of the National Pro-Life Summit this year of how are we preparing for this wave, especially if we see the Supreme Court reverse Roe versus Wade. You have millions of women who've had abortions in the last 50 years, who didn't want to have abortion, had a queasy feeling in their gut about abortion, had the abortion anyway because, well, it was legal. The Supreme Court wouldn't let you do something that was terrible. And then what happens when the Supreme Court decision comes down and confirms all of these? I think that what we're going to be seeing, what we've been seeing at the door, when we start talking about resources and women going, how did you know? How did you know to come here? Why are you here? I've never told anybody this. How did you know? I think that's going to dramatically expand because you're going to have a lot of folks across the country who have never dealt with their abortion in their past, who are suddenly going to be reckoning with their past.
And I know that that's like hard to grapple with, but it's a good next step towards healing. And the fact that we've got these local teams already set up, already ready to receive women, these partnerships with organizations to connect women to post-abortive healing, I mean, that's huge. We are building this foundation and making it strong at exactly the right time.
That's right. So I guess enough teasing. Tell us, where are the 20 cities we've chosen? Where are we at? And then, if someone's listening in, how do they get involved? Like, can they sign their city up? What if they don't want to, what if they're a little afraid to go as far as signing up their whole city? What can folks listening do?
Yeah, we really want to make it a localized effort. So some of these cities, I'll say a very broad name, but there's actually a specific community that we're talking about because we want to measure the movement within that community, and we want to see the effect that we're having. And we did score them on some that are further along the path. They're more winnable because of the amazing work that is being done there. So some of our winnable cities are Allentown, Pennsylvania, Cincinnati, Ohio, Naples, Florida, Omaha, specifically Bellevue, Nebraska, and then Phoenix, specifically Glendale, Arizona. Just activities, partnerships, coalition.
So that's where everything's coming together. They're rocking and rolling.
Together.
It is absolutely possible that we see the abortion facility in that area shut down.
Okay. Yes. Yep. And these are in some, Allentown, Pennsylvania. That's such a purple state, and it's a very liberal area of Pennsylvania. But there's just so much energy on the ground with the team there. It's been very encouraging. Then there are some other cities that are movable, and we see movement.
You're an optimist. I love how you do
they're
it.
movable.
I would be like
We get to
green,
do
red, yellow, red, but you're like, no, it's
No, it's
movable. It's
movable. We
movable.
can
Okay.
keep going here. And because you'll hear some of the names of these cities and go, are she sure about that? So we've got Indianapolis, Indiana. And again, it's just the team on the ground is doing such a great job. Tons of coalition work there. And the conversations at the door are really fruitful. That is the city where we're hearing a lot of someone's going to tell you their life story and be
The
willing to speak their
Midwesterners.
mind. Yeah. Then we've got Dallas, Texas, Jackson, Mississippi, which is a huge focus right now and such an important city to be in. But we know that community trends pro life, generally speaking. It's a more like I'm personally pro life. Now it's about getting them to move to action to really mean it and break the trust of that last remaining awful abortion facility there. But we're not giving up hope. We believe that's movable. Then Rochester, New York. I know that sounds crazy, but again, another great team
I
on the
think you're
ground.
crazy for listing them as movable,
Totally
but keep
movable.
going.
And we don't know. We can't claim exactly what happened, but there was a Planned Parenthood set to open in a medical park, and they have been delayed. Our team did a ton of work on the ground in partnership with a lot of great other organizations there in Rochester to testify at these city council hearings. And they didn't open yet, which was interesting because they was supposed to have opened by now. So we don't know why exactly that happened, but we have a team doing the really great work in Rochester, and that's another city that loves to have conversations at the door, and they really need to be plugged in to better resources. And then the last one, we just last movable city, or last two movable cities that we just sort of moved into: Chicago, Flossmoor area, Illinois, and St. Louis, Missouri. We know St. Louis, Missouri is going to be huge for that last remaining abortion facility, Planned Parenthood, that has seen so many ambulances, so many women hurt. This town should definitely want to kick out that Planned Parenthood.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. And
I didn't even
do
say
we?
all 20 though.
I
We
know
have
we're missing
workable
some
cities.
cities. We're give
Yep.
me the
So
work. Give me the
my
worst. Give
other
me the workable.
workable,
I would call them
we
red, but the
my
optimist is calling
positive
them workable.
spin. It's called workable because we can make this work. Come on, team. It's worth it to try, even here, to make these cities
Absolutely,
abortion.
it's worth it to try. I'm just more of a negative person.
All right.
Okay, tell me what those workable
Denver,
cities are.
Colorado, Sacramento, California. I'm going to say this one right. It's a little town outside of Tacoma, Washington. Puyallup,
Puyallup.
Washington. Boise, Idaho. Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Middletown, Connecticut. Richmond, Virginia. And St. Paul, Minnesota. We'll go anywhere. Yep.
Yep. That's awesome. I love it. I love your line of we'll go anywhere. We're not afraid. We're not afraid of the abortion industry. We're not going to let the polling numbers or the strength of the abortion industry stop us. And yes, some of these fights are going to be longer term fights, and we realize that. But I think it's very important. I also, what do you think about? And I know we have to wrap up. I love the name Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities, but actually I heard some objections to it from some of my friends my mentors were like, it sounds too crazy, Kristan. Like it's too hard. But I love the name because I think it gives you your goal. What do you think about that? Do you think we should
That
name it
was
something
my
different?
fear, is that we're presenting something crazy overwhelming. Like, wow, I don't know, that's really scary. Like, it's already hard enough to get churches on board, and now we're just going at it. But that really is the beautiful thing about the name, is it's direct, right? That's what works. It's very clear what we're doing. It's interesting because the approach within the city, so in all of these cities, the community wouldn't look at our work and say, "Oh yeah, they're with the Abortion Free Cities campaign." So that's I think a really important note. It's the leaders, it's the core group in the coalition who understand they're serving as part of the Abortion Free Cities campaign, and yet the community and the church, what they're seeing is standing with you. So, and I think you've talked about this on previous podcasts. So we've got Standing With You is our supportive services initiative across the country that connects women to resources. So at the door, they're seeing Standing With You. On our t-shirts, they're seeing Standing With You, community advocate. On their flyers and pew cards, everything in the churches, it's all Standing With
Billboards,
You.
Standing With You.
Everything, yard signs, all of it. So that's a very important part of that strategy, that we know we're using that branding and messaging of standing with you to the community to move them. But it's that core group of leaders who are very direct in their mission, and it's to make their cities abortion free.
I love it. I love being direct. I love telling people exactly what it is that we're intending to do while we do it and say, watch us. So thank you, Michele, for all that you're doing. How can folks, I guess I'm putting up with me because, if it's my baby, it's, Michele is
Don't let
unfortunate
that scare you off.
pleasure
You should
of
join us.
working with Kristan.
Do it anyway.
No, we formed this amazing team. Michele was a leader of our field team for many years. And so it's been really great to see you move into this new role. I guess the last question is, where can people join us? And like, what are like the bite-sized steps to get
Yeah,
involved?
if you heard your city listed, please join. We are continuing to build the coalition. If you didn't
Go
hear
to
your city listed, yep,
abortionfreecities.org and sign up and select your
yes.
city, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you could select the city on our join. So abortionfreecities.org/join. Find one of these cities, choose it. But there's also abortionfreecities.org/start if you would like to start a campaign. And you can start at any level that your coalition is able to. So we actually started the Chapel Hill, North Carolina group last year, and we bumped them up to full sponsorship this year. And so Austin, Texas just started this year, and they're already doing great work on the ground. Rio Rancho, we've got just a ton of cities already applying. So please go ahead and apply, get your coalition together. Then, if you're part of a church, and you're like me and you're looking around saying, why isn't my church talking about this? If that's sort of the bite-sized piece that you're ready for, then we've got that too, for abortionfreecities.org/church. And you can learn more about our church partnership. Even if you're outside of these cities, there's still resources that we make available for you to just get the conversation started.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think I love so much about this campaign is because even if you're not ready to take the full on bite size piece, which you should definitely do that, there is something you can do right now to get involved. And that very basic level is just get your church involved or find
Yep.
local pastors to get involved, getting them talking about this issue. Because if the church comes alongside her and shows her that no woman stands alone, that will be extremely powerful for minds change, recruiting new people to join our movement, and also saving lives and serving children. So thanks, Michele, for all you're doing. I can't wait to have you on in a couple months and hopefully hear an update of all that we've been up to at Students for Life and the campaign for abortion-free cities. If you want more information, like Michele said, go to abortionfreecities.org/join/start, or just stalk us a little bit on the website and what we've been up to. You're going to see our pictures on social media of door knocking. If you've been wondering what that's been doing, even before the election, door knocking begins. That is what it's all about. So thanks so much for coming on this week.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.